Today we are making focaccia bread with caramelized onions, pears, and goat cheese. First thing you want to do is dissolve 1 tablespoon of sugar, white granulated sugar, in 1.5 cups of warm water. You want the water to be about 115 degrees Fahrenheit, just a little bit warmer than your body temperature. So I'm going to dissolve 1 packet of active dry yeast in this sugar water. I'm just going to give it a little whisk. And I'm going to let that stand. And here I have 5 cups of all-purpose white flour mixed with 1 tablespoon, a good heaping tablespoon of kosher salt. Now you don't want to use iodized salt when you're using yeast because it interferes with the rising process. And the water that I used was filtered water. The chlorine can also interfere with the yeast. I forgot to mention before that before I do anything, I always turn my oven on broil for about a minute or two, and then I turn it off, and then I turn on the oven light, and that's a great place to let your dough rise. So now that my yeast has bubbled, I'm going to pour this mixture into my flour and salt mixture. And I'm also going to add a 1/2 cup of good quality extra virgin olive oil. And then I'm just going to use my hands to mix this all together. I don't have a stand mixer, so I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. If you have a stand mixer, then feel free to use it, and you're going to want to mix it for about 5 minutes. I'm going to mix this all in, and then I'm going to start kneading it, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've mixed my dough together, and I dumped it out on a floured surface, and then I took my bowl and I washed it out, and I added a little bit of olive oil to the bottom. And now I'm just going to, I don't want to get too much flour in my dough because it doesn't feel very sticky, but sometimes you'll find that the dough is tacky and you don't want it to be, you don't want it to stick to your hands. So I'm going to just knead this until I get a nice smooth ball of dough, and I'll show you the next step. Okay, so I'm done, but I'm just amazed because I made the same recipe yesterday and my dough was very sticky and it kept sticking to my hands. So what I did was I just added a little pinch of flour at a time and worked it in. You really want to go slow with the flour because you don't want to dry out your dough. So you just keep adding flour until it stops sticking to your hand. And this is what you want your dough to look like when you're done. It's about after 5 minutes of kneading. And now I'm going to put it in the bowl. Now what I like to do is, you see the nice smooth side? I put it face down first, and then I flip it over. And now I'm going to cover it with a towel, and I'm going to put it in the oven to about double in size. Since I have my oven warm, it should probably take about 40 minutes, 30 minutes even maybe. If you don't put it in your warm oven, then it might take an hour, maybe a little longer. I've cut up 2 onions, sweet onions, into slices about this big, half circles, and I'm going to throw them in a little bit of vegetable oil, and I'm going to caramelize them on a low and slow flame until they're nice and golden. You want to give your onions a stir every once in a while just to make sure that they're cooking evenly. Okay guys, this is it. This is the beauty that inspired this whole recipe. I was originally going to make this with blue cheese, gorgonzola. You can do it with that, but a friend of mine over at Jules Diggs on YouTube has a video on how to make your own goat cheese, and it inspired me to make my own. And this is just rolled in some herbes de Provence. It's some lavender and thyme and some other beautiful herbs. You could use a regular goat cheese. You can buy a regular goat cheese and roll it in some herbes de Provence. It's up to you. But I was so excited. I know some of you are going to say that I'm crazy or that I have too much time on my hands, but this was so awesome. So make sure to check out her video, and I'll show you the next step. The onions have caramelized, and I've removed them and put them in a bowl to cool. And here I have 1 Bosque pear that I sliced up into slices this thick. You could do it thicker if you like, or thinner. And there I have the goat cheese that I crumbled up into chunks like this. I may end up crumbling them a little bit more as I'm spreading it on top of the bread. We'll see. So my dough has risen, and I poured a little bit of olive oil in a cookie sheet with an edge here. And you don't want to do it on a flat cookie sheet because the oil will seep out. I'm going to dump this dough out, and then I'm just going to stretch it out to cover the sheet. And what you want to do here, and don't be afraid to do this, is really make these holes in your dough all the way through. That way you'll get all those little nooks and crannies in your focaccia. Because we're going to put this back in the oven to rise again, probably for half an hour, until it doubles in size again. But I'm just going to do it all over the dough here. And then you just want to drizzle a little bit more olive oil on top, and then you put it back in your oven for about another half an hour, and then I'll show you the next step. So my focaccia has risen, and now I'm just going to take the caramelized onions, and I'm just going to spread them out all over, and then I'm going to place my pears wherever I feel they look good or are needed, and then I'm going to crumble some goat cheese, and I'll show you the finished product. This is what it looks like before I put it in the oven. I'm going to bake it at 425 for 20 to 25 minutes. I just want to thank Julie at Jules Diggs once again for the goat cheese recipe, and I have a link down below to her YouTube channel. Please check it out. And here is our finished focaccia with pear and caramelized onion and goat cheese. I hope you enjoy.